discovery in Antarctica, researchers find new life under an ice shelf, and the discovery was an accident.
Antarctica is the coldest and windiest location on Earth, with about 98% of the continent covered in ice. It's hard to imagine that there's anything existing beneath it, but despite its inhospitable conditions presented by this cold continent, scientists have been able to make some shocking discoveries under the ice of Antarctica, and these discoveries will simply amaze you.
This is a strange one, but when you find out what these scientists did, what these folks do just to learn stuff, it's amazing.
Before we start the video, be sure to leave a like. Amphipods in an underground river. A group of New Zealand scientists braved the unkind weather of Antarctica in 2022 and discovered a never-before-seen ecosystem 500 feet below the thick ice of Antarctica. The scientists were on a mission to investigate the role a suspected estuary could play in a climate-induced ice shelf melt. Now, for those who don't know, an estuary is an area where a freshwater river or stream meets the ocean. And this estuary, which was the focus of the scientists' research, was several meters beneath the massive floating sheet of ice known as the Larsen Ice Shelf. The Larsen Ice Shelf itself has been the focus of many researches over the years. When the team of scientists got to the location of this suspected estuary, they used a powerful hot water hose to drill down about 500 meters below the ice surface. After this, the scientists sent a camera down the icy hole to explore what was beneath.
So here's what they did. They had to bore a hole, and what they did was they took 20 tons of snow and they melted it. They had to create 20,000 liters of hot water because they had to dig through this ice.
And they were shocked by what they saw.
They found bacteria, sponges, and animals with a stalk-like head, which could be a form of predator known as a hydroid.
Hundreds of specks immediately covered the face of the camera, making it hard for the researchers waiting up above to make out anything. At first, the team of scientists thought that the camera had developed a fault, but after refocusing the camera, they realized that they had made a big discovery. The hundreds of specks that had swarmed the camera were not actually debris in the water, but tiny shrimp-like animals known as the amphipods. Amphipods are a diverse group of crustacean arthropods found in virtually all habitats of the world. Most are marine, but 1,200 species are known to inhabit fresh water, and almost 100 species are terrestrial. Although the amphipods are not new to the world of science, still, their presence deep beneath the thick mass of ice in Antarctica startled scientists. They had not expected to see any signs of life, and they were overjoyed at the remarkable discovery. Also, apart from the unexpected discovery of the amphipods, another thing that caught the researchers off guard was the roof of the chamber in which the underground river flowed.
One of the study's authors said he never expected to find such creatures living so far from daylight.
They had expected the roof to be smooth and flat, but instead, it was uneven and had steep wave-like outlines. Samples of water from the underground river were then taken back to the lab to study the properties that make it unique. The team of scientists also left instruments in the river for observation. If you were fascinated by the discovery of a hidden world beneath the icy depths of Antarctica, this next discovery is sure to leave you in awe. Gambertsev Mountains. Buried under 5 kilometers of ice in East Antarctica is a mysterious mountain range known as the Gambertsev Mountains. These mountains have an expanse of 1,200 kilometers and rise to 3,000 meters, which is 1/3 of the height of Mount Everest. The mountains were first discovered in the 1950s by a group of scientists traveling across Antarctica. At the time, the scientists recorded abnormal gravity fluctuations coming from under the ice in the area where the Gambertsev Mountains sit. After the discovery of the mountain range, it was then named after Soviet geophysicist Grigory A. Gambertsev. The Gambertsev Mountains continued to baffle scientists several years after its discovery under the ice in Antarctica. The question that bothered scientists was how the mountains had come to be. Several theories like volcanic activities, collision, and rifting were offered as the possible reasons for the existence of these massive mountains. Also, the question of how long the mountains had been encased in ice played on the minds of the scientists for a long time. Nothing much was known about these mountains, and its existence was like finding a spaceship in an Egyptian pyramid. But scientists now seem to have unraveled the mystery of the mountains. Though, with the help of radar, scientists were able to see the physical features of the mountains, and also a combination of magnetic and gravitational readings were employed to study the mountains to the crust. By the analysis of this data, scientists came up with a possible theory to how the mountains were formed. This theory is that the mountains formed due to a series of tectonic events rather than a single event. From the analyzed data, the Gambertsev Mountains appeared to rest on top of an older mountain range, and scientists believe that 1 billion years ago, several continents collided and pushed up this older mountain range. With time, this mountain range eroded, and what remained, or it was a root which was about 20 miles deep. Then millions of years later, rifting occurred and the supercontinent Gondwana broke apart from the heat from Earth's interior, caused the long dormant root to warm up. This heating then caused the material to expand and the land was forced upwards, reforming the mountains. Now you must be wondering that since the Gambertsev Mountains are said to be about 1 billion years old, then they should have eroded. Well, scientists believe that when the East Antarctic ice sheet formed about 34 million years ago, the Gambertsev Mountains became covered in ice. And this is the reason why the mountains still exist till today. This is because they believe that the ice covering the mountains helped to preserve it in a deep freeze and protected it from the actions of erosion. Modrise Polyneia. In 2017, a large hole opened up in Antarctica. This was not unusual because this hole, known as a Polyneia, was not uncommon in Antarctica. A name was given to the hole that opened up in 2017, and it was called the Modrise Polyneia. Now, Polyneias are a stretch of open water surrounded by ice and are formed when warmer water moves up from the lower depths and melts ice covers on the surface. They're also formed when a strong wind blows the ice away. There are two types of Polyneia, which are the coastal and the open ocean Polyneias. The coastal Polyneias form when strong offshore winds move sea ice away from the coast, while open ocean Polyneias are much more complex since they occur far away from shore in the middle of an ice pack. They're formed by a combination of both atmospheric and oceanic influences. The Modrise Polyneia is an open ocean Polyneia, and what made it quickly come to the attention of scientists was because it had occurred during Antarctica's coldest months when the ice was at its thickest. The Modrise Polyneia was also unique because of its sheer size. It had a span of 78,000 square kilometers, which is about the size of Scotland. But the Modrise did not start with that massive size. At the time of its discovery, it was approximately 9,500 square kilometers, and within a month, grew to about 78,000 square kilometers. The first sighting of Polyneias was in the 1970s, when satellite observations became more commonly used. Currently, the Modrise Polyneia remains the largest hole to have been observed by scientists since the 1970s, and also the first one to have opened since then. Scientists believe that Polyneias are capable of modifying oceanic circulation, therefore impacting our climate on a regional and global scale. There's no doubt that these holes are strange, and there could be more than meets the eye about them. Blood Falls.
The Blood Falls.
Just like the name, the Blood Falls is a bright red-colored waterfall located in Antarctica. The waterfall pours out from these fissures in the Taylor Glacier and gushes into a lake known as Lake Bonny.
No, it's not Halloween. This is a real thing. The mysterious blood falls are spilling their secrets for years. The deep red color at Antarctica's Taylor Glaciers has fascinated researchers.
Now, this might seem scary and look like something out of a slasher horror movie. But there's nothing to be scared about because the blood falls, in actual sense, is not blood.
It's been flowing for a while. It was first discovered in 1911
by an Australian geologist, Griffith Taylor. It was believed that red algae were responsible for the water's color. Well, this was disputed and soon thrown out the window. Blood falls continued to remain a mystery until radar was used to scan the layers of ice from where the water pours out from. Imaging from underneath the ice revealed a complex networks of rivers and an inland lake filled with brine and with a high concentration of iron. Scientists believe that this inland lake was formed 5 million years ago when East Antarctica was flooded. Then as time went by and the sea level rose, glacier formed over the lake, trapping it. Now, as to why the water of the blood falls turns red, the explanation is quite simple. The water in the ice has been sealed there for millions of years at high pressure with no oxygen or sunlight reaching it. So when it gets in contact with air, a series of chemical reactions occur, giving the water a blood-like appearance. Also, the makeup of the water explains why it was able to withstand the cold temperatures and remain liquid. Salt water has a lower freezing point than fresh water, and as it freezes, it releases heat, which melts the ice and enables the river flow. Also, the water contains microbes that survive in the harsh and high-pressure environment. These microbes are able to metabolize the water's sulfate and ferric ions. And because of these findings, Blood Falls is now a popular site for astrobiology research, as it helps to provide meaningful insight into what the Earth's conditions was like millions of years ago. It also helps scientists to understand if there is possibility of life on Mars, Europa, and Titan, as these distant planetary bodies are believed to have the hypersaline oceans and rivers similar to bloodfalls. Deep Lake. The Deep Lake is an isolated lake located in eastern Antarctica, in an oasis known as the Vestfold Hills. The area in which the Deep Lake is found is one of the few ice-free areas on Antarctica, and this area contains hundreds of inland lakes that were believed to have formed about 3,500 years ago when the ice mass depleted. At the time, as Antarctica rose above sea level, it created different regions which contained stranded seawater. The inland lakes that were formed due to this occurrence remained isolated for thousands of years. Each lake has also developed its unique ecosystem, but the lake is quite unusual. For one, it's considered one of the most unproductive and remarkable ecosystems on Earth. This is because the Deep Lake does not support life except for some salt-loving microbes that call it home. Deep Lake is home to only 4 species, and 3 of these are archaea. Another thing that makes Deep Lake mysterious is that it is found 55 meters below sea level and is 10 times saltier than the ocean. This high salinity ensures that the lake does not freeze despite water temperatures reaching -20 degrees Celsius at its deepest point. This is a habitat that is dangerous for most organisms. That's all I've got for you for this video. Let me know what you think about these mysterious sites in Antarctica. Hey you, yeah you like the video? Great, we've got another one for you that we guarantee you'll like. And all you have to do is click on the screen. It's free and without any hidden fees, but you have to click on it fast because this message will self-destruct in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.